am happy at this very moment to welcome each of you here. We have a reason to be proud today. To the administrative team of this school, thank you for pausing to honor the legacy of this Daugherty School that was built in 1952. Will all graduates from Daugherty Elementary from 1952 up until now, 2012, will you please stand? You see, the school is not the building. The school is its students, families, the community, and the staff who embrace the opportunities within these walls because they knew the importance of a quality education. The people that you saw standing have ventured all over this state and possibly throughout the world because of the education they received here. As a trustee, as a proud trustee of the Garland Independent School District, we made a decision that we would keep Daugherty in this community as a beacon of light. Therefore, we will be constructing a new 21st century school. Energy efficient, technologically ready, with an increased capacity to serve over 1,000 students. Daugherty, you will become the newest elementary school in the Garland Independent School District since many years ago, maybe 4, 5. And to me, this is only a temporary farewell. For we will anxiously await the construction of the new Daugherty School. Plans, administrative plans, transportation plans, construction plans are underway. All we have to do is follow those plans at this time. For women, we're always said to cut our ends of our hair so that we can receive new growth. And also, in clipping your ends, your hair grows back stronger and fuller. Therefore, Daugherty, when we rededicate this school in 2014, you will come back stronger and wiser than ever before. So we welcome the opportunity to undertake this project. What can we say to a community that supports our efforts through the passage of our bond programs that allow us to undertake this venture? It's my honor to be here to welcome you for this historical event. And at this time, I would like to introduce some of our special guests. Beginning with the individuals on the podium, Janet Anthony, would you please stand? These are previous principals. John Driver, Sherry Perkins, Cecilia Nahara, Deborah Henson. Mr. George Clayton. My fellow school board member, Mr. Scott Luna. Our school board member-elect, Mr. Steve Nag. Our Garland Independent School District administrators, if you would stand wherever you are. And the superintendent is standing. Any staff that I have omitted. And then anyone that I have not introduced, would you please stand at this time to be recognized? That means all of us. Let's all stand, because all of you are truly special on this day at Daugherty Elementary. Thank you. You may be seated. We will follow our program as printed, and we are now fortunate to have some musical selections.
Back in the 60s, you might have heard. School days, zero golden rule days, reading and writing and arithmetic, taught to the tune of the hickory stick. You were my queen in calico, I was your bashful barefoot beau, and you wrote on my sled, I love you so, when we were a couple of kids. But today it might sound like this. School days, more changes on the rules today. Reading and science and social studies, benchmarks and assessments that drive the study. While things have changed since these doors open, yesterday's gone and new buildings coming, with memories to keep of Daugherty days. New students will learn here once more. Let us remind you, the new school will be great, we can't wait. Please sing it with us. The new school will be great, we can't wait.
The new school will be great, and we can't wait. Let's give them another round of applause. These are our 3rd and 4th grade students. So they will be returning, maybe the 3rd graders. As the choir took us down memory lane, we will continue with some Daugherty reflections from Mr. George Clayton, Texas State Board of Education.
Some of you probably thought that when I got up here I was going to take you back to the 70s or even the 60s. If you get a close look at me, you know right off I'm going to take you all the way back to the 50s. Now, this building I believe opened in 1952. My sister and I, stand up Jan, Judge Hawthorne, she's now a judge. So she insisted I introduce her. I was going to spend 6 months in the county jail. In any case, we started here in 1955, and so I'm going to take you back all the way to the very early days. I'm going to talk a few minutes here, and I think I had made some notes, but I don't need them because the minute I walked into this room, I changed my mind about what I was going to say. Now, take a look at this room. You got a white floor, blue, green, and white walls. That's not the way it was. The room is exactly the same, but the floor was a deep, deep, deep green, which was fairly common in the 1950s, and so were the walls. Over here where the windows were, there were great big black shades that could be pulled down, and the room would be very dark. Now, that really helped Mr. Etheridge, who was the principal at the time, because every month in all the 6 years, and I don't mean I failed because it was 1st through 6th grade in those days. I probably should have failed when I look back on it now, but I didn't. In any case, he would come in, he would pull these great black shades down across these windows. He'd have a projector. How many know when I say projector what I'm talking about? Okay. So many people don't. It would be sitting in the center of the room. Now, we didn't have these very comfortable pews that you're sitting on. The cafeteria doubled as the auditorium, as it's doing today. And there were great rows of folding tables that ran from the stage all the way to the wall. I guess there must have been 6 or 7 rows. 8 kids would sit at a table in these metal chairs where you would always, if you weren't careful, pinch your finger. And we had a lot of pinching going on. But he would take the tables out, he would line up all these metal chairs, and we'd come in every month and watch what he called the monthly movie. We were showing a movie every month in all the 6 years. that I went to school here. Very clean, decent movies. I remember seeing Lucille Ball in The Long, Long Trailer. Who remembers that movie? Yeah. Right here, first time I saw it was right here in this auditorium. Now, Mr. Etheridge was a terrific guy. He looked a lot like President Eisenhower. Or he did to me. At first time I saw him, I thought the president's in the building. Let me tell you a story about Mr. Etheridge and myself. I never had any dealings with him until one day in must have been 1957. I was in the 2nd grade. Mrs. Cunningham was my teacher, and my room was the first door to the right here when you come through the lobby. I had finished lunch, and I had paid no attention, maybe it's because those black shades were pulled, to what the weather was doing outside. When I left the cafeteria and walked across the lobby, I walked back into that classroom and looked out that great expanse of windows out here to Miller Road, and it was black as jet. Must have been about noontime. It was storming, the street lights were on, car lights were on, and I knew I had to escape this situation as quickly as possible. So, Mr. Superintendent, without anyone's permission, I left the building. I ran out that front door. At that time, the great wooden doors on the building had 3 glasses vertically, and I was just tall enough to look out the center one, and I made sure no one was out there to stop me. And when I saw it was clear, I slung the door open, ran across the street, 1 block down. It's where we lived. Went in the house, and the minute my mom was ironing or baking a cake or doing one of the many jobs that she used to do, she looked at me and said, "What are you doing home?" And before I could tell her my lie that I had figured out all the way running home, the phone rang, and it was Mr. Etheridge. And I thought, gosh, how did he know so quickly that I had left the building with all of these students in the building? How could he possibly have missed me? But my colleagues, my friends in the 2nd grade class were not sympathetic at all, and they wouldn't have told him. So that's the way it is with kiddos. In any case, I stayed home that day, and you may know from your history that in 1957, on that very day, a big tornado swept across Oak Cliff and over by Love Field. So I was right in what I did. I had to go home. I got out of this building. Now, I mentioned Miss Cunningham. I remember her well, 2nd grade teacher. And I see her now in my mind's eye. And she was a very tall lady. She had a shock of red hair. And she walked around every day with a little wooden ruler in her hand. But let me give you my perspective as a 2nd grader. She was 8 feet tall. She had the shoulders of a linebacker, and she carried some sort of metal rod around with her all the time. That's how, as a 2nd grader, I saw Miss Cunningham. Of course, she wasn't anything like that. Now, that's one story. Another story I want to tell, and then I'll sit down, was in 1961. I was in Miss Stone's 6th grade class. How many here were in school in 1955 to 61? Anybody here? Terrific. Terrific. I recognize some of you people, and have we all aged like that? Is that? No, sorry. Anyway, Mrs. Roberts, another 6th grade teacher across the hall from Miss Stone, brought a TV. First time I'd seen a TV in this building. It was a little portable black and white, probably not more than 10 inches on the screen. And we had 3 or maybe 4 6th grade classes at the time. And we all crammed into Mrs. Roberts' room on January 20th, 1961. Can anyone tell me what was happening that day? President Kennedy was being inaugurated. And we all crammed into that little room and watched President Kennedy inauguration. And of course, that lasted 3 years. By the time we were in the 9th grade, President Kennedy had been assassinated. There are so many stories, and I'm sure all of you have stories, about Daugherty Elementary School. When I heard they were going to tear it down, I thought, well, no, they can't do that. It's a Garland landmark. They have to leave the building. But I understand from the principal that the frieze outside this building here And if you haven't seen it, when you leave here today, go out and take a look. I think it's right on the end of the cafeteria. It's going to be incorporated into the new building. So a little part of the old building will live in the new building. It's a terrific idea, and everyone who came up with it, thank you for doing that. Because for those of us who went to school here in the 1950s, this was the center of the universe outside of your home. That's the way schools were in those days. So we have a lot of fond memories, and judging from the amount of people here today, you understand that. Thank you very much.
The Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Curtis Caldwell.
Thank you very much and good morning. And again, let me, on behalf of the entire faculty and staff of the Garland Independent School District, welcome you and thank you for taking time out on a busy, beautiful Saturday to come and help us say farewell to Daugherty. And I want to thank George Clayton for his remarks. And Mr. Clayton, distinguished alumni, of course, of Daugherty Elementary, and he sits on the State Board of Education. And I want to remind you that's a very, very important position. We talked about the 9 principals, Ralph Sanders, Wallace Etheridge, and I want to make sure that we all understand that our second principal that we talked about, Mr. Etheridge, that his daughter, Janet Anthony, is here representing him. And I want her to stand in his memory. Because someone said, Mr. Etheridge looks so young, Mrs. Etheridge does. I said, well, that is his daughter. And she indeed, Janet, looks very young, but we wanted to make sure that we clarified that. A couple of things because we're not going to keep you long because we're going to move through this quickly, but W.C. Daugherty was a former school board member, donated and a landowner to the school district for some facilities. And this school for 60 years has served families. And for 60 years, things have changed dramatically in the world of education as we talk about coming in here and looking at movies. But I'll tell you what children still do is they still come in here and they see programs, they still perform, they're still fed good meals, they're still nourished not only by the food but nourished by the love and care of the faculty and staff of Daugherty, and that has been a consistent diet for 60 years. And it's going to be a little period of inconvenience as we move everyone in total en masse to Southgate Elementary, but it's going to be a great transition because when we come back, we're going to have the newest school in the Garland Independent School District here at this site. And it's going to serve a growing, vibrant community, one of the areas that has the most school children in our entire school district is located in this area. The tree-lined streets that surround this community that serves Daugherty have sheltered children, sheltered families and memories for 60 years. And what I look forward to is 60 years from now, in the year 2072, when people sit in this auditorium, the new auditorium, and talk about the legacy of Daugherty, and talk about the legacy of a caring school, talk about the legacy of caring people that had vision, that built this school in 1952, that built one that was going to open in about 2013 and 14, and be able to look back in 2072, said those were people of vision, but most of all, those were people that cared about children, families, education. They cared about one another, and they had love in their hearts, because brick and mortar don't make a school. It's you as families, it's you as people, and it's the memories that we have that are carried forward from 1952 to today to the future. That is the significance of school. That is the significance of community. That is the significance of education. And that is why when we say farewell today, we say hello to a great future and great memories for many families and many children to come. This time what we would like to do is have a presentation of some of the original bricks that someone pried off this building. And we want to present it to our principals that are here today and our guests. First of all, I would like to present the first brick to someone who was so kind to speak to us today, and that's our state school board representative, State Board of Education, Mr. George Clayton. George.
I did not do the pride.
We would also, with our visiting principals, former principals, like to present the next brick to Janet Anthony, daughter, of course, Wallace Etheridge.
Thank you very much.
The next principal that we would like to recognize from 1992 to 2001, and that's our good friend, Mr. John Driver. John. Sherry Perkins, 2001-2006 principal, current principal at Herforth Elementary School. From 2007-2009, Sia Nahara. I'm always careful about giving these bricks to current employees, so I don't want them to throw it at me later on. So. And our current principal and the principal that will be opening this school is Deborah Henson. Deborah. We will also, at a school board meeting in the future, be presenting our trustees with a brick, and you too can have a brick for a small price. I too want to publicly thank, when I talk about vision and I talk about people that have made this possible. We have two representatives from our current school board, Mr. Scott Loon and Miss Linda Griffin. The entire board, when we talked about the concept of coming in and building a new elementary school, when we looked at all the growth in our school district in places, the board was committed to looking at where the most children were, where we could do the most good in immediate impact. And when we looked at Daugherty as our second oldest school, our oldest active school, we said there's a place, and the trustees were emphatic about, we want to build a 21st century school on the site, current site of Daugherty, and continue the tradition of serving the families and children in that area. And I want to publicly, again, acknowledge them and thank them for their vision and their work. And we're so excited about the plans and look forward to the new school. At this time, Deborah Henson, our principal.
I've known this day was coming since, a little over a year ago, and I've been here for 4 years as principal, and the minute you walk in the building, you really get a sense of a history and a community and a strong sense of those people who have passed through these hallways. It has been my privilege and my joy to serve this community, to watch parents come in to learn how they can help their kids, to see teachers who give of their time after school, Saturdays, nights, whenever, to help this community. When you think about when the school was founded in the 50s, people were striving for the American dream. They wanted better for their children than what they had. Although I wasn't in Texas at the time, that's exactly what my parents were hoping for my sister and me. And Daugherty played a key part in helping them do that. This school today continues to do that. We have a community of members who care very deeply for their children, who want nothing more than that American dream for them. They are here every time the doors are open. They bring their kids to school on Saturday to make sure that they're mastering everything that they have. And it has been my pleasure to see that happen, to play a part in having that go. And now, as we close this building, it is a very bittersweet time for me, even though I've only been here a very short time. As you walk down the halls and you think of everything that's happened, I've chased some kids down the street who decided they didn't want to be at school today. I have gone and picked up children who didn't want to come to school. I've said, Mama, put shoes on them, I'm coming. And I think what makes me the happiest and what thrills me the most is knowing that there will be more than 400 kids who right now get on a school bus and leave the neighborhood, who when the new building is open, they will be able to come home to their neighborhood school. We will have a staff that will take care of them like they are their own, just like we have a staff now. And while we face some challenges this next year with moving to another campus and watching this building be constructed, it is that hope of bringing home more kids in this community and serve them that make this project exciting. I thank you all for being here. We have some papers on, I call them clipboards, yes, they're part of old binders, where we ask if you were a student here, take a moment, give us your name, tell us when you were here, and write your fondest memory. Doesn't have to be long. We will be putting together a time capsule that we will have on display in the new building, and we would like to have those memories to include. As we close, please know that the building is open. The classrooms are open for you to walk through and see where you went to school, and it'll strike you that the rooms look awfully small all of a sudden. Some of it's because of our change in size, but we are so looking forward to that great big school that we will have hopefully in August of 2013. Again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. This concludes our program. And thank you for being a part of the Garland Independent School District community, where our mission statement is a diverse community with a shared vision, delivering an exceptional education. Have a great day, and thank you for coming.